I would title my own personal journey through the mental health system as a numbers game. It took 15 years for me to get 2 accurate mental health diagnoses. I entered the system at 11, and it wasn't until 26 that I finally had the correct labels, which were PTSD and bipolar disorder. And in those 15 years, I also amassed 5 other incorrect diagnoses. I had taken 15 medications, seen 6 psychiatrists, and 3 therapists. I had a 10-year history of self-harm, been hospitalized twice, and 1 failed suicide attempt. And just to give you an idea of what happens over a 15-year period, there are 3 cycles of Olympics, 6 if you count the Winter Games, 3 federal elections. A child goes from being an infant to a teenager. The cell phone went from being this big clunky thing that we didn't know how to use to having it right available at our fingertips. And the internet itself was barely existent and now is everywhere. What took 15 years could have taken 5 minutes if only someone had asked me the right questions. All right, so my name's Em Hayes, and I'm a youth advisor on CAMH's youth advisory group, and then from there grew into doing other research projects and just making sure the youth voice is heard. I dropped out of high school twice, once in grade 11 and once in grade 12. The depression was so bad that the idea of actually going to school and socializing seemed next to impossible. I was like acting out at home, which was really just really big emotional reactions to small things. And every psychiatrist I saw screened me for bipolar disorder. The reason I didn't get the diagnosis is because it didn't present in me the way it's described clinically. But I did have racing thoughts, I did have trouble speaking, I did have moods that went up and down quite quickly. Luckily, I had a guidance counselor who recommended I go to this alternative school. And it was there that I actually found like a community and people who understood what it was like to have mental illness. And from that community, I was able to graduate because the school provided me with an environment that was conducive to my learning and with people who were like me. And so I graduated top of my class. I still didn't have the right diagnosis. I still hadn't seen another mental health professional, but I found people like me, and I think that's super powerful. So despite being trapped in a broken system, I won the lottery twice. Once with a therapist who was willing to fight for me and go to bat for me, and another time with an unrelenting psychiatrist who was willing to listen and try over and over again. And I've actually seen him now for a period of 8 years, and he just never gave up on me. And the therapist taught me the skills and gave me the space to be heard and have my lived experience heard. And so yeah, that's what saved me. So YAG stands for Youth Advisory Group. It initially started as an advisory group for a Youth Can Impact project, which is a project at various service hubs throughout Toronto. And I actually joined just as it was shifting towards actually advising on a whole bunch of different things. I've made some wonderful friends. One friend in particular, we worked on a Game Changers project, and we just there was a script that we had to edit to make it youth friendly, and we spent hours just laughing together and being like, this is nonsense. Why are you using this word? Like, I couldn't believe how common it is for people to have their parents in the room when they're with the psychiatrist. Like, that's more than just me. And how common it is to not be able to not receive trauma-informed care, and to have not received it historically, and how we talk about that and then we're like, people need to hear that, and they do now because we're on this team and we're advising this various research and different people doing different things that will, unfortunately, doesn't change our past, but it changes for the people that are to come. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's the reality. When you listen to the youth voice and to what we have to say, it will lead you to recognize that we are humans, which will then lead into better practice. For example, I've been in places where they've referred to bipolar disorder and psychosis as like the severely mentally ill. You need to change your conversation. You cannot think that your patients are severely mentally ill and treat them with respect, because that label in and of itself is disrespectful. And if you listen to youth, we will tell you, don't talk about me like that. That's not accurate. Treat us like we're humans and that we have value. And that's not hard. That's like basic humanity. And I think that that gets lost somewhere in the mental health system and the psychiatry system. You forget that the people you're talking to are people who have rich histories, who are experts of their own experience, who are more than just what you see on this paper. I think that's why the youth voice is so important in advising mental health research and in implementing mental health policy. And I think if people listen to us now and our voices are heard, those that are coming won't have to scream as loud.